6, 2010 at 12:20 a.m. p.m. And we're going to be Byron Sonne. My name's Detective Bowie. Badge number is 8650.
Ready for it?
Byron, come on in.
Yes, sir.
How you doing?
Not good, sir.
Not good?
Hell, have you guys seen my wife?
Okay, so for you, the situation has remained the same. Okay, we have, there's no new charges. Okay, so I'm not here to advise you of any new charges. Your scenario is the same as before. You understand what you're still under arrest for, right?
Yeah,
okay.
I think.
You understand those rights that I explained to you back at 13 Division, and we talked the other day. Nothing's changed for you, okay? You understand that you're in a police facility.
Yes, sir.
And that everything we do and say is being monitored, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I wanted to tell you personally that we arrested Kristen, and that she's here on 2 counts that are named on your information, and those counts are possession of a weapon and possession of explosive devices. And I think it's important that we talk about this a little bit today, because it's going to impact your family and the well-being of your family from here on in. Remember, I talked to you before about consequences.
Yes, sir.
I talked to you before about the impact that this scenario you've gotten yourself involved in as we move forward. There might be a reasonable explanation for this scenario. And you talked a lot about us trying to trick you up in an interview and get you to admit stuff. But I'm going to read you something, and it's significant for you, but mostly it's significant for Kristen, okay?
Okay.
Will you hear me out?
I will hear you out.
Okay.
I may not respond, but
And that's no problem. I know today you've talked to your lawyers lots, and I know today is not going to be like the big interview where I get the mad confession. But I want to read you something, and it's important for you to understand. I'm going to be giving this to you in court. You know the RCMP are?
Yes, sir.
Okay. RCMP have a technical section that's far better than the Toronto Police technical section. That's why their name's up here.
Yes,
we've had to consult them with some of this. I have some more stuff I'm going to show you on you that the RCMP have.
Okay.
Okay. This is an investigation report. It's done by the open source. I'm trying to explain it to you here. Open source criminal intelligence section. So they have the ability to go in to the internet and the deep web and pull up stuff that you and I have posted, Facebook, links that we have done, okay? And back in February, Kristen posted something. She said, "If you blow up our house, I will be really, really mad. Also, thanks for asking to use my stuff. At least I get to read about your transgressions. You make me smile." It seems like an innocuous comment, but in the totality of everything, where we have explosive materials, maybe you're saying not an explosive device, but explosive materials in your home, this is what we call evidence that she had care and control of that. She had knowledge of this, Byron. But this is a problem for her, and we can't ignore that. Do I think that 2 years down the line, this is going to affect her bail today? We were talking to her lawyer, a really nice guy named Howard Rubel. I've dealt with Howard before. You can ask your lawyers to ask Howard. I'm a reasonable detective. I've dealt with Howard, with Mr. Rubel many times before. The Crown is a reasonable man. We've been engaged in a conversation about fashioning, they call it fashioning a bail plan that everyone's comfortable with. Society would be happy with, the police investigator would be happy with, and that the courts would be happy with to get her out. I got this report this morning, honest to you, I got this report this morning after I'd spoken to Mr. Rubel last night, and that comment causes a problem. And she won't talk to me, I understand that. You don't want to talk to me, I understand it. But is there a reasonable explanation for this?
Yes, but I won't talk to you.
But there's a reasonable explanation, but you're not willing to give what that reasonable explanation might have been today when she's going up for bail.
Other than a harmless joke, sir. I won't talk.
Here you go. Take a look at that. Tons of people are posting stuff in the Toronto Star about you. Tons of people. Tons of people are on red tag and red line posting stuff. And people were saying that you're critical of the whole circus, blah, blah, blah. So this is the report that I was looking for. someone called the Toronto Star and said that for those of you who know Sonne, am I correct in your last name?
Sonne.
Sonne.
I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing your name. Bowie Tam?
Bowie is the first name. Tam. But read what I do for a living. What do I do?
Asian organized crime.
You don't look very Asian to me.
No, I don't, sir.
And I think you're an organized guy. I'm not even sure if you're a criminal right now. And I guess what I'm trying to bring up is that there are some other people who have become very interested in you. Can you imagine who those people might be? Byron, I'm a criminal investigator.
People not as friendly as you, I would imagine.
I investigate organized crime. That's what I do. A, you're not Asian. B, I don't know if you're a mastermind criminal. You seem very incredibly organized, incredibly smart. Ignore that. Ignore that, okay? By the same people as before, or same people.
You'll excuse me if I vomit at any moment. I'm not feeling really well.
No problem. Do you need medical attention, or are you just feeling uneasy?
Well, I have anxiety issues,
Okay.
and...
Okay, let's go slow here. I don't want to dump this stuff down your throat, but I think it's important stuff for you to know, okay? Well, tell me about your wife. How are we going to help your wife here?
I can't do anything to help.
Okay.
Our lawyers have both instructed us, I'm sure, to
DeLuca,
remain quiet.
DeLuca is, I've never dealt with him, but Mr. Rubel I have. He knows I'm a reasonable guy. Like, I'm a family guy, I got kids, got a wife. I grew up in Toronto, like the same age as you. Like, I'm not a malicious dude. Like, I don't believe in trumping up a charge on someone. I think you were misguided and involved in some misadventure that Byron honestly has gotten you in a lot of trouble. But this is serious stuff here, man. These people that have come to talk to me, giving me these reports, throwing reports at me. And I'm sharing this with you because I think you need to know not the gravity of the situation, but the gravity of the situation that you've got Kristen involved in. We have to deal with you one day at a time. We're going to have to go through a court process. I'm going to be collecting evidence. But I don't work like these guys, right? I don't do the job they do. For a long time as a detective, my job was you got your house broken into, and my team would come and they would take fingerprints, and we'd look for the guys that broke into your house and were selling yourself at pawn shops. Like
well, why is a guy from Asian organized crime running?
That's a good question.
I'm just curious why you shouldn't be like busting triads or something like that. Or
what happened was with the lead up to the G20 events, our resources were tapped. And we have a lot of people that are referred to as intelligence investigators, and they were involved in investigating a myriad of things, from the littlest suspicious complaint that a store owner got, and they received a complaint where those uniformed officers stopped and talked to you. Right? Do you remember that? 2 uniformed officers stopped and investigated you. Mm-hmm. You asked if you were under arrest under any terrorism law. I think they had observed you photographing or videotaping the fence. Do you remember that?
Yes, I remember.
Okay. They provided that report to our Toronto Police has an intelligence section that deals with matters of security, national security nature. They're intelligence officers. They're good. They're police officers. They're investigators.
May I have a drink of water or something?
Yeah, no, totally. Hold on one second. Can we get a glass of water for Byron? Or if there was a meal that was normally scheduled for today?
I don't think I could eat until later.
Just some water would be great. Yeah. Thanks, fellas. I just asked the officers out there to grab you some water.
Thank you.
So I haven't worked with them, right? They got involved in taking a look at you. I'm sure you know, your lawyers read the synopsis. They put you under surveillance, right? I'm sure you understand that, right?
I figured probably that, I would have anyways.
Okay. So they did some surveillance on you.
I mean, I figured if you're organized crime, you probably have a fairly significant intelligence background and, know how to find and follow connections and stuff, so that makes sense.
What's funny is that as an organized crime investigator, I actually have in my history no intelligence background.
Well, it's probably because you're a natural in it, so.
So my job is to organize large-scale criminal investigations, to be able to collect the paper and the information and do the court process efficiently and efficiently and lawfully and professionally. I'm a professional. It's the job. It's the job that I'm trained to do. So I'll continue with the story how I got involved. So they started to do surveillance on you, that's no secret. You read it in the synopsis, and they made some observations that led them to have the grounds to believe that you had committed an offense or were about to commit an offense, and that evidence of that offense was going to be found in your home. And that's how they convinced the judge. It's an application to search your home. I've heard the police in the last few days, and it's been a bit of, the public seems to be not particularly happy, have been granted some kind of special powers that exceed what they're normally. I can explain that to you if you want. Yes, the whole background on that. I kind of love it. I mean, it's for everybody and everything. For sure. I don't know. Is this like the FLQ in Quebec or something? No, I'll explain that to you though. I know a little bit about it. So after the arrest had been made, you'd been arrested on the bus. Remember we talked about that before? You had the scanner on you and the telephone and whatnot, and the camera. They executed the warrant in your house, and they found really what they were looking for is this wave cannon that you had talked about. So, and they were really worried about the disruption of telecommunications. They also found the projectile launcher or the potato gun, and then they found that myriad of chemicals. So they called in the CBRN guys. You know what CBRN stands for? Let me see if I can get it right. Chemical, radioactive, nuclear, biological. No. Chemical, biological, CB, radioactive, nuclear. So it's a team that deals with those four elements. Mm-hmm. So they were called in, and they took a quick look at your house, and they were the ones that assessed, holy cow, there's a lot of chemicals here that could combine together, create an explosive device. And we see some evidence of some timing devices, etc. And they realized that this wasn't just a quick warrant to take a wave gun off an individual. There was something substantial here. And they called in organized crime, because we don't really have an anti-terrorism unit with the Toronto Police. We have the intelligence officers that did all the work that led up to it, but we don't really have an anti-terrorism unit that can deal with this full time. And they called in my inspector, who gave it to me. I showed up at 11 o'clock at night at 13 Division, or maybe a little bit earlier, and went through all your charges with you, and we had a talk in the interview room. That's how I got involved. Just one other question. It's really freezing in those cells when I go back. Is there any possibility for, like, even, I don't care if it's like a pink shirt that says world's best dad on it or something? I'll talk to the guys about it. I'm freezing in there. I'll talk to the guys about it. That's no problem. So here I am. Now I'm involved. Usually the last few years I've been working on the triads, basically, for lack of a better term. And, we run wiretaps and long-term investigations, which usually have a huge court process at the end. And that's what I'm used to doing. So I'm a bit of a fish out of water here. And I'm getting people that are dropping off stuff like this to me, with words like that on it. You can disregard that word, but it's on that report. I'm going to give this to your lawyer. And this is it's a 28-page document. You can see page 15 to 28. I haven't given you the whole thing. I'm going to. But they were able to open source through the internet, the deep web. I've never heard of the deep web, but they were able to open source through the internet that you had gone through all of these BitTorrent downloads. Can you explain? I don't even know what a BitTorrent is. It's just a way to conveniently download or share files. Why not go to can't you go to like a library website and download a file? Maybe, but these are hard to find. So what's the BitTorrent site that these would be found on? Like, is that it right there? No, the Pirate Bay. Pirate Bay. So what's Pirate Bay? It's just a site that hosts files. Okay. So these are PDF. I know PDF's like Adobe, right? Yeah. Okay. So what it looks like is there was a lot of PDF downloads. Is that right? Did you recognize some of these? Yeah. Well, I don't really want to answer that. Okay. So here it is. Go back a page here. This one, that's scary for me. Okay, they're saying that you downloaded this. The RCMP, the people that like to type that word right there, are saying that you downloaded this. Yes. So, what is that? My lawyer would tell me not to answer that. Sorry. Okay. Well, so obviously we did a search warrant at your house, and obviously we've taken your computer. And you're a technical guy, right? You work in this industry. Yes. Are we going to find those documents on that computer? And you don't have to answer me for yourself, but why it's significant for you, I'll explain it to you, is that your wife shares the ownership and the care and control of computers in your home. Your wife shares the care and control of the things that are in your home. We keep our stuff completely separate. But how can you say that? You share a computer. No, we don't. And BitTorrent, this Pirate Bay, is saying that you downloaded the Practical Pyrotechnics by Werther Visceral?
No idea. We do not share a computer. We keep everything entirely separate.
Video tour of the fence, Microsoft Spy, that looks to me like a global criminal compliance handbook. I don't even know what that means. Russian Nazi beheading, that's obviously a video, right? TrueCrypt, I know that's an encryption program.
Mm-hmm.
Reasonable explanation, you probably encrypt everything that's in your computer, right? No?
Not everything, no.
I don't know how to encrypt anything. MIT's Guide to Lockpicking, not illegal to have. Tactical exploitation, what is that?
My lawyer would say not to answer that.
And here's, I think, one of the most incriminating things that it's going to cause a lot of problems for Kristen. Setting fires with electronic timers, PDF, the Earth Liberation Front, a radical movement, a radical group, who provided a handbook, and then there's some, they were able to capture some Ragnar Benson's Guide to Home and Recreational Use of High Explosive quotations. I hear it's hard to find. Certainly every copy I've downloaded has been absolute crap. Even if the pictures are there, most of the time it's just a poorly formatted copy of that text. Not this one, my friends. This is the actual images. Everything's complete. Rumor has it this book is out of circulation. I don't believe it's illegal. I don't know if you posted that or if it's the other guy. I think it's by the Goat Master. So I'm assuming Goat Master's you, because you seem to use that term goad a lot. That wasn't actually the quote I'm looking for.
No comment, sir.
So here, please, educational purposes only, don't be one of those idiots that goes out and hurts people. Freedom of speech. That's by you. So you're sharing the information with people, but you're saying it's for freedom of speech. So is that a legitimate explanation for the download of this? And I'm going to go back to Kristen's problem. We want to fashion a bail, or I would like to fashion a bail. It's ultimately up to her lawyer and the Crown to craft, not for me. I would like to fashion a bail for her. I think it's absolutely heartbreaking when a husband and wife are in jail together. I honestly believe that. Like, I'm a grown-up, I have kids, I have a wife. If something ever happened, no matter how heinous it was, I'd want the courts to at least have some kind of compassion on one of us to let us out. And in all likelihood, it would probably be my wife, even if we both were engaged in something terrible. I truly believe that. But this causes a problem for her. That posting that she did on your website causes a problem for her. I need an explanation for that in order for us to even consider fashioning a bail. And I'm being straight up honest with you, Byron. And I'm looking for you for that reasonable explanation of her comment. Because you said it's not illegal what she said, it was a joke or it was in jest, but I need an explanation.
It was just a joke. I mean, I would be happy. I mean, if you wish to tender something through my lawyer and hers, it would ensure that everything I say here would have the intended effect. But I know that, however, you can't promise anything.
You're right.
Only the Crown Attorney can. So I can't say anything until I speak to my lawyer. And
but you have
to get him to tender, not since a couple days ago.
Your lawyer's not in regular contact with you?
Not since the last time we talked.
The only time we really force you to contact your lawyer is if we had come in here with new charges. We would advise you of all your charter rights again, right? You have the right to retain and instruct counsel in private without delay. You can call any lawyer you want. You're not obliged to say anything to the police, but anything you do say can be given in evidence, and you're being charged with this. Do you understand this new charge? Do you want to talk to a lawyer? You probably say yes. We put you in contact with your lawyer. But you're facing no new charges right now. So really,
right now you say.
But I mean, that's the truth, Byron. Like, what if we find a handgun hidden in your place? If we find ammunition hidden in your place for that handgun, the search warrant's still good until the 27th.
There's nothing else, sir.
Okay. So we generally don't invite the Crown down into the interview room. I am your liaison to the Crown. Your lawyer is the liaison to the Crown. I'm the officer in charge of the case. That I can tell you for sure. My opinion and my knowledge, my feelings about the case have bearing. If we fashion a bail, and the judge feels, the justice of the peace, who she will see today, and we are going forward with her bail hearing today. I know yours is not.
What? I was told I'd have one at 2 o'clock today.
You do have one, but I think your lawyer has the feeling that it should be put off for a few days. So has he not communicated this with you?
No,
so he hasn't been in contact with you since you were remanded, is that right?
Yes.
He has been in contact?
No, he has not been in contact.
Kevin Tilley hasn't been in contact with you?
No, the only contact I've had is with my father and my brother.
Okay. They're going to talk to you about a strategy today, I'm sure.
My lawyers, or?
Yeah,
Okay.
your lawyers will talk to you.
I
about
will
strategy.
talk to my lawyers today.
Okay. For sure you will. And they'll talk to you about a strategy, like how to move forward with your bail hearing. And that's up to them to give you advice on that. They haven't seen this here, but they're going to. I have to. Every bit of evidence I get.
I know, disclosure, both sides.
Okay, so explain to me what you know about disclosure and how it works.
Everything that one side has, the other has to have within a reasonable amount of time before trial.
Do you understand that that also includes Kristen because you're jointly charged?
Oh, we're jointly charged.
You're
I
jointly
don't know
charged.
how jointly charging affects stuff.
Okay. What it means is that we are obligated to give her all of the disclosure from your case for her to prepare her defense on the charges against. And everything we develop from her in her prosecution of her case, we need to provide to you
Understood, sir?
for your defense. So, what is Kristen going to feel when she gets this in the reports of your downloads? Just hypothesize for me. What do you think she's going to feel about it?
Probably not thrilled.
Why?
Well, look where we are. You know.
And what's she going to feel and what's she going to say when we show her this report by these guys that has that posting that she did on your website?
I don't know, I
So,
can
okay.
conjecture she won't be happy. But
Okay, I'm a little confused. Is this on her website or is it her posting on your website? Do you remember this? It was February 25th, 2009, 6:35 a.m.
sorry, what was the question again?
Is this on the GOAT's blog or is this on drawingresearch.com?
No, this would be on my blog.
That comment.
Yes.
Okay, so what's she going to say when she sees that she made this innocuous, maybe comment, maybe stupid comment, maybe innocent comment on your blog, and because of everything that's happened, it's drawn the attention of the police and these guys, and we've gone and we captured this comment. What do you think she's going to think? I got an opinion. I'll share it with you once I get your opinion.
I would imagine she will regret having said it.
I think she's going to be looking to her husband for some fucking help here, man. Don't you? Like, fuck, Byron, cut the girl some slack. Give her a break here. Like, there was a reasonable explanation for this.
I've given you the reasonable explanation.
No, you
It was
didn't.
an offhand joke.
No, you didn't. You
What?
said I don't want to talk about that. I have no explanation for it.
What would you accept as reasonable explanation?
Try me.
Well, I need to know before I just go all of a sudden and, because then you'll just throw it back in my face and say not reasonable enough, and then we'll play this game back and forth. Eventually, I'll leak a little bit more information. You can send your boys to make the prosecution harder.
I'm the one that's putting this case together, not my boys. This is my case. I deal with Asian organized crime, and all of a sudden I'm dealing with Byron Sonne, who doesn't look Asian and is just a little bit organized and might not be a mastermind criminal. Okay, so I'm asking you straight up, brother, like, what is the innocent explanation of this for her sake, not for you, for her sake?
How, if I tell you something, will you even give me a promise? You can't.
No, but I'll give you my opinion, and I'll give you how the different avenues that we can move forward. The first step is bail. That's the first step in this system. So, is she going to get bail? Is she not going to get bail? And I'm telling you, today is the chance that we have for her, if her lawyers can fashion a proper bail with the
I
Crown.
don't even know what that is in response to. Which post?
This is exactly what I'm asking you. Because I don't have it either. If there is a reasonable explanation here, let's roll with it. If not, it's going to be on its face value. Kristen said, if you blow up her house, I will be really mad.
Well, look at it, February 15th. How long ago was that? I don't think anybody even knew about the G20 then.
Of course they did.
I don't even know exactly when the whole thing started up. We don't really read papers. The chances are that was probably about friggin' microwave cannon or something.
Okay, this is the exact kind of reasonable explanation I'm talking about. Had you been working on the microwave cannon? Was it operational in February? Did you guys have an argument? Was she pissed off you were doing it in the house because she didn't want you to go sterile? You said that to me before. And so was this her saying, don't blow up the house with your microwave cannon? That's what I mean by reasonable.
I would assume so, sir, yes.
I gave you the scenario and you're agreeing with me. I'm asking for you to explain it to me, Byron.
That would be the only thing that I could figure out. Because it had to do with the potato cannon. Or not the potato cannon, microwave thing. Of Because when she said borrowed my stuff, the only thing I can think that is referring to is when I borrowed her easel, you know, like to hold a picture, you know, to hold up the plate of glass, to smear chocolate on, to see if the microwave had enough energy to melt it at a couple feet away.
The chocolate?
Yes.
And?
It's convenient, but no. The whole thing was a piece of shit. Didn't work at all.
So let me ask you this. If it never worked, we interviewed some of your neighbors, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the people across the street are complaining about having cell phone problems, portable, like the portable phones in the house problems, and problems with their alarms. Could that have been from the wave gun?
No. Well, there's always been cell phone issues, even in our basement and stuff like that, before I did anything.
And what could that be from? Is there like a major Toronto Hydro power line running under that sidewalk somewhere?
I don't know, but I know that, you know, maybe in the hills and then the buildings around it, because we were in the bottom of a bit of a valley, it just could be a radio frequency dead spot.
And so you guys have experienced the same thing?
Yes.
What if I was to tell you that they said that in the last few months it's been extra bad, and then recently it's been really bad, like 2 weeks?
Well, then I'd tell you there'd be another explanation, sir, because I haven't fired that thing up since I put it in that box away.
Which is when?
Probably not too long after that post. February.
So you think that post is in relation to the wave gun?
Yes.
Not the chemicals?
Definitely.
Are we going to find, the more we look, or the more these guys look, are we going to find posts and blogs about her worrying about the chemicals?
No.
What telephone server do you use, like your cell phone? I know we have that little Nike. Is it Telus or Rogers?
They screw me royally and it sucks, so it has to be Rogers.
Who, Telus screwed you?
No, Rogers. They're awful, sir.
What was your cell number again?
647. I think it's a 647.
Uh-huh.
I hardly ever call it or give it out, so I don't even. 285.
Yeah.
5942.
What about her? Did you?
She doesn't have a cell phone anymore. So.
No cell phone?
No.
Why is that? That everyone in the world has a cell phone?
No. The last time we had it was when she was pregnant and some stuff like that. That's why I originally got that cell phone. But since the pregnancy didn't work out, I think she just she has no need for it. Being an artist, you know, hanging around, there's no need for communications.
She has use Rogers VoIP?
No. And I guess we had their thing maybe a year or something ago, but we ditched it because Rogers are just terrible service.
But I thought that was interesting, considering when you were stopped and investigated by those uniformed officers a few days ago, it's gone from the Charter of Rights to, are you arresting me for an anti-terrorism charge? And I guess...
Well, that's not actually quite what I said. It was more like, you know, if you're not going to, you know, the only way you can arrest or detain me, you know, without putting me under arrest is, you know, through this little section, as far as I know. So I was just curious to see how they would respond.
You got a lot of plans that are going to be put together, a strategy for your defense in the months and years to come, most likely. But I want you to give some considerable thought to the position that you've put Kristen in.
Oh, believe me, God, I am.
So what are you going to do about it?
What options do I have open to me?
There are going to be people, right,
Mm-hmm.
who are going to make an allegation that you were involved in a much carefully crafted and sinister plot. Don't let her get roped into that. Honestly.
I have no intentions of that, sir. I'm not even a part of anything big and sinister myself.
So you're going to tell me that no matter what this open source criminal intelligence section, no matter what they search on open source in the internet, on the web, and in the deep web, they're not going to find that you blog or corresponded with any radical elements down in the United States.
No, sir. And if it has been, it's people I'm completely unaware of that were that.
What about the organizations like the Liberation Front or the National Federation of Freedom, Tea Party?
No.
You've never corresponded with any of those people?
Not to my knowledge.
But what do you mean, not to your knowledge?
Well, you know, if somebody comes across, you make a posting or something somewhere, and then somebody says, hey, I like this, I mean, does that count as a correspondence? Never had phone calls with anybody.
But dude, but it kind of does, because if you go on a posting and you say, If you post this Ragner's Guide to Home Recreational and Use of High Explosives on the Pirate Bay, and you say, rumor has it the book is out of circulation, I don't believe it's illegal, that's corresponding. What if, like, Timothy McVeigh's cousin downloads that document?
I don't consider that correspondence. I would assume that correspondence means active participation in a conversation.
But you've posted this. So did you receive correspondence back from this post?
No. If there were any correspondence, there'd be comments following that from the people that would have. There's no chat on this. It's just you post something, maybe people leave comments.
So when you posted support freedom of speech for the electrical timer ones, there was no correspondence back and forth?
No, sir.
Well, that might help you a little bit. Because if you're engaging people, then it'll be hard for these other people to make an allegation of a long-term sinister plot. Don't you think?
I've had no correspondence with all these things. I just find it interesting that these things have been hard to find, and there's been, like, you know, people try to take it off the web, and it's just like, what exactly are these things, you know, that cause so much of a headache? I mean, they're just words, you know. Like, I want to see what are these things that are being kept from us. I want to see what it looks like. I want to read, you know, what I'm supposed to be told not to read. You know, I mean, considering I don't think there's any law against reading out of this any stuff, just pure curiosity to see what these documents and stuff are, you know.
And what's your opinion? Like, what do you think of this stuff?
I think they're jackasses. Like this one. These ELF idiots, okay? Let's take them for instance.
Earth Liberation Front?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. People are dying of cancer, right? So what do these people do? They go in and loose a whole bunch of fucking rabbits, and sorry for my language, I intend no disrespect.
Dude, it's okay.
But, you know, these people go in, and then they loose, like, rabbits and beagles and crap like that, you know, oh, save the animals and shit like that. Meanwhile, you know, we got people dying of cancer, my grandmother dying of cancer. Not to mention, these animals have been bred and born in captivity, so you loose these things into the wild, they can't feed themselves and they die. You know, or they go and you hear stories about people burning a lab or something like that. Great, so they burned 20 years worth of research that could save how many tens of thousands of lives? You know, they burn down shit like car dealerships or whatever. Like the guy selling the cars has any issues to do with any of this, you know?
But nonetheless, they're posting a PDF about setting fire with electrical timers.
Yeah.
Does the garbage they post, does it work?
I have no idea, sir. I have no intentions of ever building it or trying it.
Well, you read it.
Yeah.
As an engineer, do you think that it would have been, it's possible?
I think they'd be hard-pressed to get it to work effectively. I think they just wrote it to make themselves sound big.
Okay, straight up, don't lie to me. No bullshit, okay? When you looked at the schematics in this PDF, setting fires with electrical timers, did you use the same stuff to make your rocket igniter? The ones for the rocket ship?
Absolutely not, sir.
Okay, so what are the ones that you use for the rocket igniter?
You buy them up at Essence and Science or hobby shops. They're made by a company called Estes. They're specially made to fit in the little nozzles on the end of the rockets.
So the stuff that we found in your house was specifically purchased as a rocket, like igniter to launch the rocket.
I don't even know what stuff you're talking about.
We talked about it the other day.
Well,
The rocket igniter. Use that term, rocket igniter.
I don't have any physical rocket igniters at home.
Because I used the term detonator, and you corrected me, and you said it's an igniter for the rocket.
Well, I don't even know exactly what you're referring to, but I sure as heck was.
I don't either, because I don't understand any of that stuff.
I mean, I don't know. Are they talking about like a box, a wire? You know, like,
I don't know. You tell me. I
don't have anything that could have been used to fire a rocket.
Dude, I have hundreds of photographs. I'm looking at all this electrical circuitry. I'm looking at this microwave that's taken apart. I don't know what any of it means. And they're telling me that there is like a, they call it a detonator, a det, right? The bomb guys, they love using that term, det.
I don't know. I would have to see the specific thing. I mean, like, you know, I have nothing in there that I would use for like setting off a rocket or something like that. I still haven't gone and purchased any igniters, you know.
So this one here, you posted, this is a security guide for activists or anyone up to associated protest activities, etc., such as insurgents, freedom fighters, etc. Ready to be printed out, pages are in printing order. Or, in the words of the document itself, this handbook is the third edition of what has been an evolving, growing document dealing with security issues and Canadian good document for anywhere in the world activism. We would like to say a big thanks to the collective opposition police brutality in Montreal, for editing some of the text of the original pamphlet and adding so many great examples to the informants and infiltrators section. We have replicated many of the changes in this edition. Thanks also goes out to the Eric Droker, whose artwork we thought was used throughout this pamphlet. For more information, make contributions to this document, please email me securitysite@tao.ca. Did you publish that post?
Sorry?
Did you publish that blog?
No, I cut that from, where was it from? I think I cut it from the document itself and put it in there.
But why?
Pardon?
Why?
Because I was tired of writing a blurb and I thought it sounded interesting.
But you posted on the Pirate Bay this activism book, is that right? Or the pamphlet for other people to read.
Suppose my lawyer would say not to answer that.
I know, but Byron, people are going to say, and these people are going to say, that you were trying to incite and encourage,
no,
activist activity.
Strictly for interest's sake.
But how do we differentiate that? Honestly, how do we differentiate that?
You can only take my word for it, sir, and go on my past and see that I'm a nonviolent person who's never done anything against anyone.
So that particular one was terrorism, globalization, anarchy, guerrilla activism, secrecy, and security.
Yeah, search terms to try and get more hits so that I could feel good about having popular torrents. An ego rub.
So was this an ego rub?
Yes.
Dude, are you crazy? Did you not think that people were going to start looking at this stuff one day?
I figured we live in a free society. What can publishing documents that, are not illegal, that are free to read? I mean, we have freedom of speech. You can't all of a sudden say, freedom of speech and all these things, and then have it, and then all of a sudden it's illegal? Why? Just because we have something in town with, leaders from the world? No, man, it's just a bunch of people talking shit and looking for interesting things to read. I mean, you can ask the people in Maplehurst. I mean, I've already read 2 books when I was there. I get bored very easily about reading things, so I try. After a while, I decide, well, let's go out and look for some crazy shit to read. And it's just man, it's really goddamn hard to find this stuff. So you know what? I know there's other people like me out there that must be interested in reading things. Hard to find stuff that might be a little sketchy but is still entirely legal, so I'll put it up to share. Because all this stuff is available from, I have never generated anything myself here. All this stuff is available from multiple sources anyways. All I did was put it in a convenient location so that anybody who happened to think like me and wanted to read about things that were, topically in the news about whatever's going down on the States with those nut bar militias and stuff like that, might want to see, well, what are these folks reading? What gets these folks off? Well, come here, look at it. This is what these idiots do,
Okay, but you need to be able to differentiate and be able to articulate to someone at some point that, do you support the ideologies of those militias?
Fuck no.
Is that why you're sharing their writings with other people?
No.
Do you support, what are your beliefs on, on Judaism and the Jewish state? On the jihad and the Islamic State?
Well, I think all that jihad stuff is bullshit. I don't know why people can't just live in peace. I live in a Jewish neighborhood. I love these people. They're quiet, they're polite, they respect each other.
But it doesn't mean you agree with their politics.
No.
Right? It does not mean you agree with their politics. So what do you think of the Jewish state?
What do I think of the Jewish state? After the Holocaust, I don't see why anybody wouldn't be entitled to a bit of a homeland. I think maybe it's a shame what they're doing with the Palestinians, but the Palestinians got, they're not helping their own cause. They're lobbing rockets into people. They just want to live in peace after nearly had half their people killed.
Do you know that you posted your home address on the internet?
Probably. I don't have anything to hide. I didn't think I was doing anything wrong. People think that I'm some kind of nutbar. If I was trying to be secret, you guys have already sitting there probably going through, well, maybe not you, but the RCMP is probably going through my visa. If I was smart about these things, trying to hide it or something because I was part of one of these things, I would have, moved the cash around and bought stuff on the sly and only done it with cash, or had a friend bought it to me. Every time you look through these, you can go to the Canadian Tire store, you can go to the Home Depot store, you'll see that everything is done on my own credit card. No disguises, nothing like this, because I had nothing to hide. I was not trying to put anything anywhere. I wasn't trying to purchase stuff on behalf of people, just all strictly for educational purposes.
But there are people who are going to suggest, okay, well, by saying that, he's saying that he wasn't working with other people, he was only working on his own.
I have no intention of doing anything with any of that stuff that would get me in trouble.
But it was still there.
What can I say?
Something to explain why it was there. Like, the onus is on you here, Byron.
You know, I find making things interesting. I mean, you guys saw that I was growing crystals. One of the things I thought would be interesting would be to find, like, hard-to-find chemicals or things that might be interesting and make crystals out of those, and then shellac them and then put them on a little stand with a light to make really interesting stuff. That's why I had everything labeled there.
But you were also making rocket fuel crystal.
Well, yeah.
But don't you see how that's a problem? Like, in the grand scheme of things, putting all these separate scenarios together, can't you see how...
Of course I can. But it all comes down to the one same thing, sir, is that I never had an intention to hurt anybody. I never had any unlawful things.
Okay, so here's the big question. Is if you had no intent and this was not unlawful, why is there historic history dating back to 2002 and 2006 of downloading these documents that are a handbook for creating these explosives?
Because they're interesting to read. You know, just because somebody has a book about one thing and happens to have something in their home doesn't mean they're going to combine them. You know? And you guys sure as hell didn't find any combined explosives, because I didn't make any. So...
Well, maybe, but the argument's going to be, maybe Kristen told them. And that blog warning was, don't blow up the house. I know what you have in there, don't blow up the house.
That's not the case, sir. It was an off-the-cuff joke.
Pretty inflammatory, though, when you read it in the scope of everything else that's happened in the last few days, don't you think?
I agree.
So how do we move forward from here?
I don't know. You have to tell me, sir.
I'm going to give you one scenario. Don't talk while I say it. Just listen to what I have to say. You throw yourself at the mercy of the court. You put some of the responsibility on your own shoulders, some of the onus back on yourself. Look, Your Honor, curiosity got way the better of me. I downloaded all these stupid handbooks. I figured out how to make explosives. I've got a science background. I put together the chemicals in my house that could make a bomb. Put together a rocket ship that could act as the detonating device. I developed a timer to light the rocketry that could maybe cause an explosion. But I never, ever, ever had the intention of doing this. I admit it was there, and I'm sorry for it. The curiosity got the better of me. But it was me, and it was all me, and I shoulder this responsibility. And Kristen was a wife that was loving and willing to support me in my interests, but had no criminal intent. And I need to burden this on my own. I don't want you to make a response to that, if you don't want to. But, like, sometimes people need to man up and take a bit of responsibility for some of the stupid things in life that they have done.
And this was a stupid thing, sir. And if my lawyer will permit me to go with that run, then I think there's a very good chance that I would go in that direction.
But is that the truth? Were you collecting the elements to build a bomb but had no interest in doing it?
I had no interest in building a bomb, sir.
But why were the elements for the bomb in your house?
Some of them were there for fertilizer, you know, for the garden experiments and stuff like that.
Byron, don't bullshit me, okay, brother? Like, I know what these documents are. That you had a manual to put it together. So how can you tell me that it was for fertilizing your potatoes? Like, give me a break, man. Like, I'm talking about a realistic explanation here to give to the courts, and you're going to have to wear this. Like, I'm not saying to you that I think the judge is going to go, Byron, you know, curiosity got the better of me when I was back in university, and, you know, you're not going to have to take any social responsibility.
No, he's going to want to nail me. I know.
Dude, they might throw you in jail for a long time. But I'm talking about a reasonable explanation to save your wife. Not a lie. I'm saying the truth for once, for God's sake. In the court, for your families to hear, for you to unburden yourself, for you to help your wife. The fucking truth, dude. Not, I'm growing potatoes, I needed fertilizer. Like, give me a fucking break, man. You had all of the know-how and the knowledge and the instructions to build a bomb. And you're trying to tell me...
That doesn't mean there was the intent, though.
Okay, but that's not what I'm telling you. I'm asking you, did the curiosity get the better of you where you assembled the products to build that bomb?
Would you let me run that by my lawyer before I answer?
You know what your lawyer... I know your lawyer's going to tell you. Do not say anything like that. Let's see the evidence. Let's collect the evidence. Let's see what the police have to say, and then we'll see if we have enough money to fight it.
I think I should still follow the instructions of my lawyer in that case.
And fair enough. Literally, I was.
But I'm seriously thinking about what you're saying.
Because that's a realistic scenario, don't you think?
It is realistic.
And I've been involved in trials so many times before, where, like, guys get like 3 dudes. They've known each other since high school. One of them's a badass, one of them's maybe got a little bit of a record, one of them's like Joe that works at McDonald's. And they get pulled over by the police, and there's like 245 caliber handguns under the seat. And all of them get charged. All of them had access to it. You know, the driver especially gets charged. What if the driver was the dude that actually had the legitimate job working at McDonald's? And we come in and talk to them, and we say, like, man up. Save your brother here. Like, save your friend. Man up for once. And so many people, I believe, make the mistake of saying, we're going to see what evidence you have. We're going to bite this. We're going to be
If it was between me and you, and I know that you were the Crown, and I know what you would do, then I might take a different course. But I can't trust what they're going to do in there to me.
Who's they?
The Crown. And all the other people lining up. You're just one guy who might mean well, but I don't really know that your weight carries all that much.
But keep in mind, I am the guy, I am the officer in charge of these charges.
Yeah, but you're not the Crown Attorney, and he can piss away anything you promise.
You're correct there. But
that's why I have to wait for my lawyer to hear these ideas.
Okay, what happens when they put the officer in charge up on the stand to go through the case? That's going to be me, right? Like, would you rather hear from me one day down the line? It could be 2 years from now. You're sitting in Maplehurst for 2 years. Would you rather hear one day down the line? You know, I've talked to Byron a number of times over the last year. I've done an extensive investigation. We've analyzed his computer. We've analyzed his cell phone records, his visa bills, like you suggest. We went and pulled videos at the Home Depots and stuff. We went and pulled this, and we've done it. We've done our job. We've done the job that we get paid to do, and we get trained to do. At the end of the day, I think that Byron wasn't really going to set off the bomb, but he had a bomb in his house, Your Honor. That's my opinion. Would you rather hear me say that? Or would you rather hear me say, Byron put together a bomb, and Byron was going to use that bomb during G20. That's what I believe. And he had all the tools and the knowledge and the equipment
but
to do it.
But you don't believe that. You can't tell me to go up there and lie just to spite me because I didn't plead out early like you wanted.
I'm not saying it's a lie, and I'm not saying pleading out early. I'm saying, like, think to what you know we're going to find out, right? Like, I'm honest when I say, Byron, I think you're a smart guy. Do you think I'm a bumbling buffoon?
No, of course not.
Like one of those Keystone Cops in the old TV shows?
No, they're so high up in the government they don't really need to obey the law. They have their own separate bunch of things that they can do. You know, and they can just, you know, if all of a sudden they feel like, hey, this looks good, you know, let's bring this guy in on a security ticket and my rights don't matter anymore. You know.
Byron, I don't think it's ever going to get to a stage where anyone brings you anywhere on a security ticket. And I promise you that if anyone tries you, I am going to fight tooth and nail to have you not leave like a normal facility where we can do this and where you are subject to the regular rules of law in Canada. For me as a man. Okay?
Okay.
But that's not to say that those people aren't going to be looking at you.
I know they will.
Right?
They're probably already.
Well, I'm showing you this, brother.
Yeah, so clearly
like, I'm being straight up with you, right? People have given me information. People are trying to help me here, right? Well, stuff that I don't have, I'm going to ask people to try to help me get. I'm just a lowly organized crime detective from Toronto who's been given this case to manage.
Yeah, but, you know, 20 years from now you might be the, you know, another Fantino running the show or something. You know, not lowly for that long.
I'll explain this. I'll explain this because you asked me before, so I'm going to explain these police powers that people are talking about in the media. The province of Ontario, back like 10 years ago, elected something called the Public Works Act. And what the Public Works Act says is that anything built for the public by the government, it's a highway, and a highway is like almost every road in every major thoroughway in Toronto. Like, you know how Dundas is Highway 5?
Oh, okay.
Right? Yonge Street is what, Highway 11?
Yeah.
Something like that. Those are all provincial highways. A courthouse, Queen's Park, like different government buildings, they're considered public works.
Mm-hmm.
They don't use the term building, they use the term work, so it's more all-encompassing.
Understood.
When you're on a public work, you are subjected to identifying yourself and consenting to a search by the police. And it's the provincial legislation that allows us to search people coming into a provincial courthouse. It's a public building, it's accessed by the public, freedom of the courts, we're allowed to, unless it's a publication ban, we're allowed to go in and view the court, unless it's a closed court, the media is allowed in, they're allowed to report on what happens in the court, unless it's a publication ban. But what gives us the powers to search people and identify them coming in is the Public Works Act. So they looked at the construction for G20 and they thought, like, this is a government-funded, government-built security perimeter for a government event. And these fences are mainly built on public roads that are already deemed a public work. So can we just go ahead and start IDing people? Yeah, we probably could have. I don't think we...
That's fucking brilliant.
Hold on. But
Sorry.
the chief wanted to go the extra mile and say, well, listen, why don't we have the fence and its construction designated as a public work temporarily? How would we go about doing that? And it was actually quite simple. It didn't have to go to the provincial legislature. A letter had to be signed by the lieutenant governor and council. So they went to the LG with a letter saying, can you designate the security perimeters around these secure sites as a public work? And the lieutenant governor said, well, hey, it's on a public work already. It's on a highway. It's protecting a public event. I'll designate it for a week as a public work, specifically the fence. So people are all up in arms that this secret law was passed on the line. I'm telling you, Byron, that's not the case. When I went
But it does sound funny because the G20 isn't really a public event.
But it's for public officials. Just like some meetings in Queen's Park aren't public events. Some of them are closed meetings.
Okay.
But we could stop someone in Queen's Park.
But because it's on behest of the public that elected you, then I guess that sort of qualifies. That's pretty damn clever, actually.
I think it's pretty clever too. And you know, there's going to be people who are going to challenge the charter ramifications for it.
They're already working on it. I think I saw in the news.
And I knew about it as a sergeant on the road, like a road sergeant, and I knew that it was a very tenuous thing to direct your officers if they were ever really pressed for getting a guy's ID to use that act on them if they were standing on a highway. You know, there's other reasons why we can ask people for identification and, you know, do a pat-down search for your safety. And we really shied away from people doing that under the Public Works Act. But many of us knew about it before. It's nothing new. It's been around for like over 10 years. So it's funny, the Toronto Star, they published that we snuck this legislation in, and the next line, but it's been around for 10 years. I thought emailing the reporter saying, did you even read what you're writing here? You just contradicted yourself.
That's the story. They're a little lefty that way.
If we're going to move forward one day, you and I, Byron, with this concept that, yes, you're guilty of something, whatever that might be, and maybe misadventure is the biggest issue here, but do the elements support the offense of possession of an explosive? Well, maybe, because we're going to have to do the testing. We're going to put a package together that says yes. And like, it's going to be a hard thing for you to argue against.
I don't doubt that you'll be successful.
And one day we're going to have to talk about a strategy, you and I and your lawyer and the Crown, that, like, okay, time for a guilty plea. Let's put this to bed. And I want you to think about that, okay? And I want you to think about it. And I'm going to come and talk to you again. Your lawyer's going to tell you, Byron, do not talk to that Detective Bowie guy ever again. But every time I have an opportunity or something new comes up, I'm going to want to come and talk to you about it. Because I want you to see how this case is growing and growing and growing, and how worse it might look for you. But more specifically, if she wasn't part of it, how it's going to be bad for her. And if it comes to a stage where the Crown is reasonably convinced that in the public's interest that maybe her charges could be withdrawn, that will be a consideration for another day down the line. But that involves a commitment from all of us to come with one solid story. Okay?
I've listened to what you said. I am thinking about it, but I do need to run things by my lawyer.
You ever go on redflagdeals.com?
No, what is that?
It's like a forum for Canada's largest bargain hunting communities for getting deals. But people post stuff. Do you know this guy, Gregomania? He posted, well, if his goal was to test the system and see if he would get caught, looks like the government passed and the test with flying colors. Could that have been a possible? This is some random dude that's blogged about you. But I'm wondering, is this the same thing? Like me as the investigator, I've turned my mind to this. Was Byron willing to push the envelope so far that he was trying to test the security apparatus? And you know what? In the end, the security apparatus beat him. It worked. And is he really that unhappy about it? That really there's a system put in place to protect the general public? Maybe you don't agree with the G20, but you wanted to test the system, and you did.
I don't really honestly give that much shit about what goes on with the G20 or the G8, to be honest.
But I think it looks like you were testing the system.
Can I talk to my lawyer about that?
Sure. Just another concept I think you need to talk to your lawyer about. Do you have access to reading these blogs and stuff when you're in there?
Where?
Like do you have the internet in jail? I don't know.
No.
Honestly, I don't know.
No, man, they change every day we go into bed at night. The TV volume down doesn't work. Shit, man, they make up rules as they go along there. They're polite to me, don't get me wrong.
Right.
I mean, in with a guy that's coming down off his fucking methadone, which isn't cheerful. But I'm also in with the chainsaw guy who got busted outside the security thing.
What's his story?
He was coming back from, I think, fixing his cottages or some shit like that, or some property or something, and he parked his car downtown to take his dog for a walk. And then old hell broke loose. You know, sister's taking care of his dog, but, you know, like I saw it on the news, you know, and there was like, whatchamacallit, bow and arrow.
Crossbow.
Oh, crossbow.
Crossbow. Well, that's a prohibited device in Canada too, I think.
No, I don't think it is. Not a crossbow. Small crossbows are. I think miniature handheld ones that you can conceal are, I think, but I think the full-size ones are still legal. Whether you need like an FAC or the POL or whatever it's called now, I'm not sure, but I think they're still legal. Because a hunting shop, I've seen hunting shops that carry them.
Crossbows, you sure about that?
I think so.
Maybe. When we really speak to people on bail conditions for weapons, it's always like nothing in touch of an FAC, firearms, ammunition, and then they always list crossbows and explosives. And that always kind of makes me chuckle, like why they throw crossbows in there.
Yeah, and then there was a whole bunch of gasoline generators and chainsaws and shit like that, you know, and he was like, what the hell, you know.
This guy Jaska writes, I have heard that in the US they track purchases, and if, for example, you go to Home Depot and buy, as an example, liquid Drano and plus muriatic acid plus chemical X, then a red light goes off at some monitoring station, then they track you. I don't believe the stuff.
Oh, I think they probably do down there. They're crazy.
They are precursor chemicals to more interesting chemicals. My opinion is that only retards would buy all of their supplies at one place and use a credit card to buy their supplies. The reason I read that to you is you brought up your credit card story.
Yeah.
Like, did you use your credit card to purchase all this stuff?
Yes.
So here's something you mentioned before. The sulfuric acid that you got, not sulfuric acid, the ammonium nitrate isn't the fertilizer type. It's the type from the cold packs that you got open.
Yeah.
Why would that don't you think, Byron, that
because you can't go and buy a bag of ammonium nitrate
why not?
anymore. Because you need to buy them like 50-pound things, and it's just hard as hell, and I don't know any stores that actually sell it because they're all afraid of being listed as terrorists. I didn't even know it was still sold in Canada until I heard about that dude with 60 bags up in Niagara region or something.
So when did you buy the cold packs?
A couple months ago? A month ago?
Where?
Shoppers Drug Mart.
Which one?
The one up by Eglinton and Spadina? Eglinton Chaplain?
With your visa?
Probably, either that or my bank card.
And I ask these questions, I know you're thinking, holy cow, he's going to go there. Of course I'm going to go there, Byron. I'm going to pull videotapes to see you buy it. But stuff that, like, you bought it on your credit card shows that you weren't hiding what you were doing. But I still have to go and find out.
No, I know.
So I still need to ask you these questions.
No,
and I appreciate you telling me, because I know you're a lawyer. You say, Byron, don't tell him you're buying cold packs to get ammonium nitrate out of them. I know he'll say that. But it's important for me. I need to put the big picture together. And if that big picture clears you, then that's great. If that big picture says, holy shit, Byron, you need to man up and take some responsibility here for some really stupid behavior, then maybe that's the option. Or you shut your mouth and you let us run our trial and we see what a judge says at the end of the day. Right?
Believe me, I'm somewhat leaning towards your position, but I just need to talk to the lawyer.
For sure. And you know that it's just an example I'm throwing out there, right? And it's based on my experience with the justice system. It's based on my experience with putting hundreds of people before the courts, and in my preference, most of them on good charges with good evidence, and a lot for violent offenses or drug offenses, right? Not the chicken shit stuff. So I've got my job to do, Byron, and as we move along, you'll see I'm accumulating evidence and giving it to your lawyer, giving it to the Crown, saying this is, we've interviewed these people, this is what we're seeing. And I'll always be open and honest about this with you. The secret investigation's over. Everything I do now is disclosable. You get all my notes, and I'll tell you. I'll bring the stuff to you, and I'll show it to
How
you.
bad was my house damaged, and who's looking after it?
We're turning the key over to your lawyer today, or to Chris's lawyer, but I think your lawyer wants it. The damage, we videotaped everything before we went out and before we did our search, and I don't think there's a lot of damage. I never went in the scene once we started the search. For continuity, I stay out. I had an officer there, a guy that works for me the whole time, making sure that no one else went in the building that should not have gone in there, other than our friends as people. And they're very respectful, professional about it, right? So
what can be done for bail today? You might hear, well, I'm being put off to another day, right?
Well, I don't know. I think your lawyer's going to talk to you about a strategy today for where you go for your bail, what you should do for your bail. But I think Kristen wants to run her bail hearing. And this stuff is a cause a problem for her now. Honestly, it does. I'm not going to
She
be
has
around.
nothing to do with any of this. You've got to realize that she has nothing to do with any of this.
But conscriptive possession is the knowledge that you possess it. And I'll give you an example. I start accumulating illegal firearms in my house. My own wife knows they're there. And one day, Toronto police come and kick my door down. They do a search warrant, and they seize.
Where's the picture from any of this?
Is that you?
Yeah.
I have no idea. It looks like you're wearing a rugby or soccer jersey.
Danish soccer jersey. But they're out of the World Cup now, so.
Are you Danish?
Well, my dad is.
Okay.
Mother's side's Irish, but third generation from the potato famine came over kind of bullshit.
What I was saying before was that if she knew about it, she knew it was there, then she's guilty of that conscriptive possession as well. That's a problem that Kristen's in, I'm not going to lie to you. You know, all that other stuff, the dealing with a justice participant, us considering the potato gun like a launcher that could cause grievous bodily harm or death, it can classify it as a weapon. I mean, that stuff's still all there, right? But it's the issue of, boil it down, the big issue is the explosives. That's the big issue. And the possession is conscriptive. You live in the home together. I pulled the land title. It's in both your names. Obviously, you live there. Neighbors are going to say you live there. There's tons of evidence in there to say that you live there. You're admitting she lives there with you, right? So how do we get past that for her? We try to fashion a bail that is realistical, that society would be happy with, that her lawyer is happy with, that your lawyer is happy with, that the judge, JP is happy with, that the Crown's happy with. I don't know if that's possible today with that comment that is found in open source. I don't know.
Her lawyer, I imagine, will be able to see all this stuff?
Absolutely. Maybe give both of them a copy of it.
Okay.
And truth be told, honestly, I just got a copy of it this morning, right? We're working on her last night. They gave me a copy this morning. I didn't know about it before. That's why I've never brought it up with your lawyer or I've talked to you about it. But I knew about it this morning. I've had to let the Crown know. It's the way disclosure works. And I'm letting you read it. And I'm going to let her and her lawyers have it too. Her disclosure I can share with you. Your disclosure I can share with her.
Because they're jointly charged?
Because they're jointly charged.
Does that mean our lawyers are like co-counsel? Or?
No, my assumption is they're going to run very separate here. Because her lawyer, in my opinion, is going to be like, wow, we got to insulate Kristen from that crazy behavior that her husband was engaging in. Maybe it was behind her back, right? And you would love to say it was, right?
Well, clearly.
But that blog proves differently, does it not?
I don't think it does, but I know they'll make a case for that, saying that it doesn't.
So you need to come up with a strategy to help her on that. And I'm kind of fresh out of ideas. Like I really am. The Wade Cannon, that's realistic, but see, the problem here is that issue about the Wade Cannon and when that conversation might have occurred, and we might be able to get receipts for all the chemicals that you bought, and maybe those chemical purchases started at a certain date. And if that comment in February predated the chemical purchases, then maybe that's that reasonable explanation. That comment, she definitely was referring to Wade Cannon, because we have evidence proves Byron wasn't buying those chemicals until when?
You'll be able to find that evidence. I didn't buy any of that stuff until... I can't even remember. April, maybe?
All of it? Or some of it?
Well, there'd probably be some things, like, because when I was starting to grow crystals and stuff, like, you know, I started building the dryers and stuff first so that I could evaporate the liquid and try and get, you know, nice big crystals to give to people's presents and stuff like that. But I'm trying to go through the cabinet of everything that was in there. I might have got some of the camping tablets, like the stove tablets, the dry fuel tablets in the winter because, you know, I'm trying to put together like a camping kit and stuff for the summer. That would probably be the only thing I could think of.
So, for example, thinking off the top of my head, if I can collect evidence that says, look, Byron purchased the dry fuel, what's it called? Dry fuel?
Trioxane or Coglin's tablets or...
Okay, so camping tablets that are trioxane.
Yeah, whatever you guys are calling hexamine or something. Yeah.
So that's also what it is, hexamine?
Yeah, I think it's part of both. I think it's a little of both in there.
Okay. So Byron purchased hexamine in Christmas. Kirsten made a post in February, and then Byron bought no other chemicals that could be combined to create an explosive device until April, then it is impossible for that comment to be in relation to the explosive. She was talking about the microwave gun. Maybe somehow we can prove that you were using the microwave gun in that time frame. And that's the kind of stuff I'm talking about as a strategy to help her, like...
You should be able to find all that.
What about the proof that the wave gun was being experimented on in that time, that's what she's referring on? How do we get to that?
Shit, I deleted that out of my YouTube account. But...
Okay, well, we have your computer, and I'm going to look for times that you uploaded YouTube videos of the wave can. So did you upload YouTube videos of you deploying the wave cannon?
Yes.
And around what months would those be in?
I can't really remember. That would be much earlier in the year. There might have still been snow on the ground. Might have even been last year. No, because if that comment was done on the 14th, then it must have been like January or February.
14th of February. You know, was it 2009? I can't remember. Peterson. Yeah, it was February 25th, 2009, so it was well over a year ago. Okay, so that's looking better.
Okay.
Right? So you're trying to tell me, straight up, you did not purchase any of the chemicals to be used in making an explosive device until after April of 2010.
I can't give you exact dates because my memory's a little fried. I'm going through hell right now. But I swear to God, I can't remember purchasing anything like that stuff before Christmas. You know, for sure, definitely before Christmas. I'm trying to think of any of these things like, you know, the earliest I can think of is March.
Okay.
I could be wrong. Like, I don't want you to sit here and come back and say, well, Byron, I found something on February, blah, 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 and then you say I'm lying. But to the best of my knowledge, I honest to God don't remember buying anything earlier than, you know, like 4 months ago or something like that.
Okay. Byron, I'd love to keep talking to you, and I'm going to talk to you again. I'm telling you that right now. I know your lawyer's saying, do not talk to Detective Boone when he shows up. And you know what? I don't mind if I come here and I just show you, look, this is some stuff we found. Like, help me out here. Like, we got to... And really, I like Kristen can be released, and we start working on a strategy for you. That would be my preference. My preference doesn't always go in court. I'll still bring you stuff to look at. You don't even have to say anything to me if you don't want to, okay? I won't be insulted. But I want to give you some time. Court goes up at 2 o'clock. We're going to have to deal with the Kristen bail matter. I'm sure your lawyer's going to want to talk to you about a strategy for bail.
Anything you can do to help my wife, sir. She's everything to me.
Okay. Well, I think we made some ground, because you've given me some proof that, and we're going to have to research and where you purchased this stuff. You know,
I can't think of anything I bought with cash. You can pull my bank card numbers, my Visa numbers, although I think it's a shared number with Kristen, so hopefully that will fucking blow up in her face.
So tell me where mostly you purchase these things, what stores?
Home Depot in Leaside.
Okay.
Do you know the one I'm talking? It's near Eglinton and Laird.
Yeah, I know exactly. I go to the same one.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You ever notice that there's all kinds of gay dudes there? Is that the gay Home Depot? Because they all come from downtown.
I'm not sure.
I find it funny. Check it out when you're in there next time. You might notice it.
I will. Okay, Home Depot, Eglinton and Laird.
Eglinton and Laird.
Yeah.
The Canadian Tire up by Eglinton and Laird.
Okay.
Jeez. Those are the two biggest. That Shoppers Drug Mart.
That's for the cold packs?
Yeah. Up by Eglinton and Eglinton Spadina, Eglinton Chaplin.
Oh, Eglinton and Chap?
Avenue. In between Avenue and Chaplin.
Okay. Why those places? They're kind of far from your house, aren't they?
No, not at all. They're all... Oh, those... Because I do tons of work building in the Don Valley over the years, you know, like fixing up bike trails, clearing up garbage, making things safe. We call it fat kid proof, so that nobody breaks their necks and we get sued and trails get torn out, because it's really special in there. You can even see deer in the Don Valley, so it's beautiful. And those are always the two ones that were closest, whether we need like screws or wood for building like ramps and ladders and things like that and fixing stuff up. So that it was just for like 5-6 years I've been working in and out of the Don Valley or whatever. Those are just the ones by habit I go to. Also, I know the stores where everything's located, and there's a good pizza shop across the street. Well, crappy pizza shop across the street that tastes good.
What's it called?
Panzerotto 2-for-1, 2-for-1 or something like that.
Across from the Home Depot and stuff?
Oh, across from the Canadian Tire. And the Canadian Tire is a good chip truck in the parking lot, too. It's run by a
Good Panzerottos there or good pizza slices?
I like the German pizza that they have.
German pizza. I'm going to try that. So,
and they also sell good French fries in the Canadian Tire parking lot. Other stores.
So everything's been purchased in your bank card?
Bank card or Visa?
Visa.
I don't think I've ever done anything cash.
Okay, and this is March, maybe Christmas and after, or March and after?
Christmas and after, maybe March and after. I can't. It's hard to remember on some of these things.
Okay.
I mean, I think there was. There might be one other store up by Steele's in the 400, like a hydroponics store. And I bought a couple chemicals there when I was still trying to work on like growing some plants and stuff like that. Not those kind of plants, but seriously, I am into growing my own food. You can stop by my house and you can see the corn and beans and all this stuff that I'm working on.
You bought fertilizer?
No, I bought the, what's that shit there? The guy sold me some stuff, potassium silicate, that was supposed to give strong stalks because I was sick of the corn bending over. And then the, what's that shit called? Use it for bleaching hair. It was when I was going to do the first designer rocket. I was going to use a liquid fuel one out of hydrogen peroxide. Because then I didn't need any nasty chemicals or anything like that. I could just use a liquid. And I could put it through a platinum grid, which would make steam and water, nothing toxic. But then I looked into how much platinum wire was, and it's an arm and a fucking leg. So I gave up on that.
Okay.
I can't remember the name of the store.
You turn your mind to evidence that we might come up with as the months go on that could exonerate your wife, like communication between her and you that didn't revolve around you purchasing chemicals that could be used as explosives. That's going to help her. It's not going to help you, but I think you are coming to terms with some of this a little bit, and maybe that's a good thing. Misguided, misadventure, curiosity got the better of him. Whatever the case may be, Byron, you need to take some serious consideration into that.
Absolutely.
Okay? I want to give you a chance to have adequate time to talk to your counsel who's here. My court never gets started at 2 o'clock on the dot. And as much time as you need, they'll go down for you to take that time, okay?
Okay.
And I know we're ready to go with Kirsten's bail hearing. I know Crown's going to talk about this posting that she made to you. They're going to argue the legitimacy of the source and blah, 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 blah. I'm probably going to have to get up in the stand and say where we got the information from. But maybe running a bail hearing for her is not the greatest idea for her today either. I don't know, in light of this. But you would have to talk to your lawyer about communicating with her lawyer about that, right? Because you get one chance at bail. If that gets denied, you got to go to Superior Court for a Superior Court bail review. Expensive, more onerous, and it's the second kick of the can, right? First kick of the can is usually the best, but your lawyers will explain this to you.
Okay.
Just been my experience as a detective. Okay?
Okay.
So, right there. Byron, thanks. I'm going to come again. I'm telling you I'm going to come again. And
Please do what you can for Kristen. I couldn't live with myself if she gets shut away in some hole for God knows how long.
Okay. Think about what I talked to you today about. Talk to your lawyer about it. He's going to tell you never to talk to me again. I'm still going to come. I'm still going to show you stuff. And just turn your mind to us trying to figure out if she knew about what you were doing. Sorry, that's a little censor there. What
Father-in-law's company used to make those. It's probably made by them.
Anyways, keep it in mind, okay?
Okay.
Good luck today.
Thank you.
Okay, hold on just 1 second.
Oh, and
Officer.
if I get stuck in there, kind of a sweater just because it's cold.
Yeah, we don't have prisoner clothing here, eh, for warmth? What about back at Maplehurst?
Back in Maplehurst, they will.
Okay. Byron, talk to them back at Maplehurst, okay? All right. That'll be the end of the interview. It's 1:44. I'm going to do a visual count for the camera so we can try to marry up the audio and the video. 1, 2, 3, 4 is a visual count.